just use it.
Alrighty. Hello. Welcome, everyone, to In Lieu of Theater in person. I am Garrett Coombs, host and organizer of this ordeal. Thank you so much for joining us. So it's been 2 years since our last reading. Things kind of got a little bit busy and the world did a lot of changing in that time. So you may notice a few of those changes here. We are no longer reading on a Zoom call. Instead, we are at the wonderful D. Baldock Performing Arts Center. How does this all work in person? We're not 100% sure, but we'll make it work like we have before. So just hang in with us and we'll have a good time. So for any of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome. In Lieu of Theater was kind of designed to give some of us theater types an outlet during quarantine with minimal effort. So just pick out a script, assign some roles, personally read through the script, no rehearsals, just improvise the rest. So now we're here in person, but we're still going for that low effort fun. So you can see amongst our cast, there's a few people in some costumes or suggestions of characters, maybe a prop here or there. And much like normal theater, you'll get to imagine the rest. So actors maybe sitting down for a little bit, table read style, or they may get up and move around. I'm not quite sure. They get to decide that on their own. So this is new for us, so you can discover along with us how it all works, and some of it, again, may work, and even if it doesn't, it's all in good fun. So tonight for Halloween, we are reading the 1991 version of the Addams Family. This is the shooting version of the script, so there are a number of sequences which differ from the released film. Additionally, some of the extended stage directions have been condensed for brevity just because no one needs to hear me talk for that long. So we'll have the cast introduce themselves and their role on down the line in just a moment. So certain people will represent one character the whole time. A few cast members will be portraying several different roles. For help with who's who and setting the scene in action, I will be reading the stage directions, all the described elements in the script. As for the cast, starting on the far left, let's say your name, any characters you are playing, and a favorite movie to watch around Halloween.
Okay, hi everyone. I am Mike Brady. I'll be reading for Tully, Lurch, Judge Womack, and a few others. Let's see. Favorite Halloween time movie, I would say, is The Burbs. That old Tom Hanks classic. Yeah.
Hi, I am Kelsey Klug, and I am going to be playing Margaret, Ophelia, Fauna, and Girl Scouts. I think my favorite is probably Hocus Pocus.
I'm with you on Hocus Pocus.
Yes.
Mattie, Isaac, hi everybody. I'm going to be reading Morticia Addams tonight. And I do love Hocus Pocus, but I also love really scary movies, and Blair Witch always does it for me. Yeah, it's good.
Marcus Wisniewski. I'm going to be reading for Gomez Addams. And I got to get on the Hocus Pocus train. Yes. Classic. Yes.
I'm Amanda Reichhold, and I'm reading for Granny Addams and Thing and Cousin It and a couple other things, and a couple other things in addition to Thing. And I think my favorite is probably Nightmare Before Christmas.
Hi everyone, I'm Austin Brummett. I'll be reading for Fester/Gordon tonight. One of my favorite things to watch during Halloween season is actually Scooby-Doo in the Ghoul School. It's a classic that gives me lots of nostalgia. So.
Hi, I'm Lauren Welch. I will be reading for Abigail Craven. I am a big horror fan, and I make my husband John watch a horror movie with me every year on Halloween, and this year we're watching Barbarian. So, yeah.
I am John Rowe, and I'm going to be reading the role of Pugsley Addams, a role I was born to play. And my favorite Halloween movie is probably Friday the 13th, Part 4, because it's horrific.
The one that goes into space?
No.
I'm Natalie Coombs, and if the braids and dress did not give it away, I'm playing Wednesday Addams. I also love The Nightmare Before Christmas, but I think my favorite Halloween-themed media is any Halloween episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Cool.
So, also of note, we will have a short intermission about halfway through, so we can get a quick break here. But without any further ado, I believe we are ready to get started. So sit back and enjoy our little show. So we will be reading The Addams Family, written by Larry Wilson and Caroline Thompson, with a rewrite by Paul Rudnick, based on the characters of Charles Addams. Fade in. Exterior, Addams Mansion front steps, Christmas Eve. A group of carolers, their eager faces upturned, sing with self-righteous good cheer. As they pompously begin their umpteenth verse, the camera pans up the Addams Mansion, past the black wreath on the front door, past broken windows, weather-beaten shingles, a creaking shutter. We arrive at the roof, where the Addams family members, Gomez, Morticia, Granny, Pugsley, Wednesday, and Lurch, and their faithful butler gleefully pour a cauldron of bubbling, steaming tar over the edge. So, we dissolve to a dim hallway, 7 o'clock a.m., close up on an oversized cuckoo clock. The clock is a perfect replica of the Addams family house, down to the creaking shutter. It chimes the hour. Miniature replicas of the family appear. Gomez and Morticia kiss, Pugsley hangs Wednesday on a gallows, and Granny cranks fog from a machine on the roof, and Lurch sweeps the front door. Just then, Thing, the disembodied hand with a full-bodied personality, climbs into view over the back of the clock. Thing leaps to the floor and scampers down the hall. The camera follows Thing along the hallway. He stops in the doorway next to a pair of legs in pajamas, feet in bedroom slippers. He pulls on the cuff of the pajama bottoms. They belong to Gomez, who stands in the doorway to Fester's bedroom. Gomez wears a fez and a smoking jacket over his pajamas. Even at this early hour, he puffs on his trademark cigar. Gomez is all enthusiasm, or all despair. At the moment, he radiates unfathomable woe.
Think of it, Thing. He's been gone for 25 years. For 25 years, we've attempted to contact Fester in the great beyond.
The room is a dusty cobweb-filled, long unoccupied shrine to Gomez's lost brother Fester. Gomez drifts in from the doorway. The room has remained untouched and undusted since Fester's disappearance as a teenager. Gomez lovingly and morosely surveys the room.
And for 25 years, nothing. Not a whisper, not a clue. I'm beginning to think my brother is truly lost.
Gomez sighs. Thing tugs at his cuff, pulling him down the hallway, opening the door to Gomez and Morticia's bedroom. Gomez approaches the bed. Asleep on scarlet satin sheets is Morticia.
Look at her. I would die for her. I would kill for her. Either way, what bliss.
Low-voiced, incisive and subtle, with Morticia, smiles are rare. The ghostly whiteness of her complexion is offset by the red of the pillowcase upon which her hair is spread like a diabolic halo. A dark garbo, sultry and remote. She's a beauty. She's a ruined beauty. Morticia opens her eyes.
Unhappy, darling?
Oh, yes. Yes, completely.
Cut to Pugsley's room. Pugsley crouches on the floor, playing with his kid-sized chemistry set. The walls of his room are covered with road signs he's stolen. Bridge out, keep clear, high voltage, and a collection of sawed-off stop signs. This energetic monster of a 9-year-old boy has every chance of growing up to be the public monster his parents would be proud of. He gleefully swallows a steaming concoction he's mixed. He contorts, undergoing the beginning of a transformation, then shrinks to the size of a mouse. Laughing, he crawls out of his human-sized pajamas. Cut to the attic. Solemn and mournful, 10-year-old Wednesday has black hair and white skin like her mother. She sits on a stool among the stored Addams family objects, one end of a string tied to her tooth, the other to a trap door. The trap door is flung open. Granny pokes her head through. She's a giggly hag who looks like she was in the bathtub when the hairdryer fell in. Wednesday's pulled tooth swings at the end of the string.
Thank you, Grandmama.
In a foul mood, Granny tromps into the attic.
You kids are gonna have to kill your own breakfast this morning.
Wednesday opens a cigar box. Inside the box are assorted human and animal teeth, fangs and dentures, along with a collection of glass eyes. Wednesday drops her tooth into the box. Back to Gomez and Morticia's bedroom. Gomez takes Morticia in his arms. She is caught in a sudden shaft of sunlight. She squints.
Gomez, the sun. Il me perce comme un poignard.
Tish, that's French. Oh, cara mia.
He kisses his way up her arm, then suddenly, bursting with enthusiasm and a sense of purchase, he leaps from the bed, drawing his bedside saber from its sheath and brandishing it at the offending beam.
Will?
We'll get a while.
Sneeder.
Keep going.
Oh. En garde, mon sasso.
He thrusts and parries, pantomiming a duel with the shaft of light before slicking the blinds closed with a flick of the sword.
Gomez,
Gerda?
last night you were unhinged. You were like some desperate, howling demon. You frightened me. Do it again.
Cut to the rooftop of the mansion. Granny delivers a swift kick to her fog machine.
Lousy bucket of bolts!
The fog machine, straight out of a Jules Verne nightmare, is malfunctioning this morning, struggling to churn out its patches of fog. From the window below, Gomez pokes his head out. In the background, Morticia brushes her hair with a silver filigree brush.
Granny, where's your fog?
The fog machine hurtles downward, decapitating Gomez by millimeters. He is unfazed. It crashes below, smashing through the front porch roof. Cut to the entrance hall later. Standing beside the front door is Lurch, the gigantic family butler, a reanimated, stitched-together behemoth. He holds 2 brown paper lunch bags in his enormous hands. The bag's contents wriggle, eager to escape.
Thank you, Lurch.
Pugsley takes his bag, opens it, and peers inside. Lurch growls, and Pugsley closes the bag. Cut to a balcony outside the master bedroom at the same time. Gomez is hitting golf balls. Finn serves as his tea, while Morticia sips tea. One of the golf balls flies with incredible speed through the window of the Addams' only neighbor. Inside the home, Judge Womack, the Addams' crusty patrician neighbor, is having his breakfast when Gomez's golf ball lands in his cornflakes, shattering the bowl, covering him with milk.
Damn you, Addams!
From their vantage point, it appears to Gomez and Morticia that Judge Womack is waving to them. Gomez waves back.
Sorry about the window, Judge. Keep the ball. I have a whole bucket full.
He holds up a bucket of golf balls. He tosses his golf club to Thing, who deposits it in the golf bag. Gomez joins Morticia, watching the departing school bus.
The little ones off to school. Bless them.
They grow up so fast, don't they?
Too fast.
Tires smoking, the school bus strains to chug down the road. Gleefully hanging from the rear bumper is Pugsley, dragging his heels. Cut to the conservatory later that morning. Morticia, wearing gardening gloves, is snipping the blossoms off her roses. Gomez sits at a table playing chess with Thing.
It's a milestone, Tish. This very evening, our 25th seance. All those years, gnawed by guilt, undone by woe, burning with uncertainty.
Oh, Gomez, don't torture yourself. That's my job.
Tish.
Imagine, darling, if Fester did come back, half alive, barely human, a rotting shell.
Don't tease.
Cut to just outside the Addams family driveway at the same time. Tully Alford, the family attorney, and his wife Margaret approach gate. A wrought iron monstrosity that opens of its own accord. Though frequent visitors, they never cease to be startled by gate. Tully is has a once handsome face and an embittered gray aura that is the mark of a middle-aged misspent. High-strung and superficial, Margaret is more disappointed in Tully than he is in himself. Margaret passes through Gate first. Then, as Tully passes through, Gate slams on him, clipping him and catching the end of his coat. Tully fights Gate for his coat.
Let me go!
Ignoring Tully, Margaret continues stiffly up the walk.
Give me that! Stop it! I'm warning you, it's not a good day!
Back to the conservatory. Gomez moves a chess piece. Thing gestures out the window. Gomez and Morticia look out. As they do, Thing moves 2 chess pieces, cheating.
Tully is here, darling.
Ha! That Tully.
Romping with Gate.
Check.
Thing moves another piece and gestures in triumph.
Checkmate.
Back outside at the gate.
Tully, can't you keep up?
I'm trying.
Tully rips his coat to get it away from Gate.
These are your last paying clients, may I remind you.
If it gives you pleasure.
Something has to. Like a decent coat, something dressy for evening, ask for a loan, beg.
No loans. I'm not a bum. Don't say it. I'll get the money. I've got a plan.
This is all so humiliating. Why did I marry you?
Because I said yes.
Margaret marches on toward the front door, skirting the fog machine as if it had every reason to be there. It hisses at Tully as he passes, splattering his trousers with fog. Striding into the foyer, Tully hands his hat to Lurch and marches off towards Gomez's study. Finding herself alone with Lurch, Margaret is more nervous and intimidated than she would ever admit.
I'm here to see Mrs. Addams about the charity auction.
Growling, Lurch heads for the stairs. Screwing up her courage, Margaret resolutely follows. Tully stalks glumly along the hall and past the family portraits. Generations of Addams grotesques in elaborate gilt frames heading toward the imposing doors of Gomez's study.
I think she is.
On the floor lies a bare rug, eyes and mouth open. Tully, preoccupied, strides towards the rug. There is a sudden ferocious growl as he steps on it.
Damn!
He kicks at the rug. It bites him, clamping its jaws onto his trouser cuff. He flails, dancing around, finally managing to shake it off. He finds himself face to face with a portrait of a teenager Fester Addams. At 15, Fester was utterly hairless with a dead white complexion and eyes rimmed in black like a raccoon's. The identifying plaque reads, Fester Addams, 1947 to question mark. Tully regards the portrait intently, almost as if having a premonition. The intricately carved doors to Gomez's study creak open, interrupting the reverie. Girding himself, Tully proceeds inside. As he enters, a saber slices through the air, its blades glinting. The blade embeds on the wall with a thunk. It shudders. Missed! Gomez leaps into frame, brandishing the saber. Tully backpedals and pulls the sword from the wall.
What's that?
Gomez turns to see as Tully charges, wielding the sword as if he meant to decapitate Gomez, but Gomez easily parries the blow.
Dirty pool, old man! I like it.
Gomez counters, shredding Tully's jacket.
Had enough?
They continue defense. Gomez flips Tully's briefcase open and legal papers pour out.
Where's my pen? Never mind. I'll use yours.
Gomez's blade flicks a pen into the air from Tully's inside jacket pocket. He performs an acrobatic maneuver back to his desk, landing gracefully in the chair.
First, the old business.
He catches the pen and begins signing legal documents scattered before him while still parrying Tully's attacks. Cut to the Addams attic. Morticia, Granny, and Margaret sort through Addams' possessions. In trunks and shroud-covered boxes, Morticia opens a gigantic, elaborately carved armoire.
Perhaps it's in here.
I don't think so.
In the front of the armoire is an overstuffed garment bag.
Uncle Knick-Knack's winter wardrobe.
She carefully passes the garment bag to Granny, who chucks it aside. She pulls the next garment bag.
Uncle Knick-Knack's summer wardrobe.
She passes the garment bag to Granny, who chucks it aside also. She pulls another bag with bulkier contents.
Uncle Knick-Knack.
Granny discards the body bag with a thump. Morticia continues going through the armoire. Back in Gomez's study, Gomez and Tully are still dueling, still signing. Gomez hasn't even broken a sweat.
I wish you'd drop by more often.
Tully doggedly fights on. His jacket has suffered more shredding from Gomez's blade.
I'd like to, but...
But what, old sport?
Oh, you know.
You know what?
I'm a bleeder.
Gomez stops dead at a document. Deftly, he disarms Tully, sending his saber flying up and out of view.
What's this? A new proposal? The Fester Addams Offshore Retirement Fund? What would they do?
What wouldn't they do? It's a very worthy cause and a great addition to the other Fester Addams funds.
Fester, all tribute to thee. Some called him inhumanly evil.
No!
Only our parents. I called him brother.
And his memory must live on forever through money. We'll deposit the funds under my name for tax purposes.
Really? That's inspired.
You would have wanted it that way, beloved Fester.
The sword tumbles back into his hand. They resume dueling. And their lines.
Indeed, Professor!
Professor, a brother!
My brother!
One of a kind!
The doctors all said!
Kind animals, so good with children!
They never proved anything!
$1 million, the perfect amount!
It's brilliant!
It's untraceable!
But, Sully, it's not old business. It's going to have to wait. You know the rules better than that.
What? But this is different. It's in my name. Make an exception.
Old business is old business, and new business is new business, and this is new business, and we don't discuss new business again until...
With one finger, Gomez rifles through a desk calendar, flipping endless pages. He lands on a distant date.
Next quarter.
Tully has gone white.
Next quarter?
Tully goes to attack like an enraged bull. Gomez does an acrobatic flip out of his chair, just missing being run through by Tully's saber.
Fine lunge, but your opposite, a tad rusty.
Gomez carelessly flings away his sword. Thing, perched nearby, plucks the sword from midair and resheaths it.
Make yourself comfortable, old man, while I get the money for the monthly expenses.
Tully lies, exhausted on the floor. Gomez grabs Tully's briefcase and makes a brisk exit, closing the office doors behind him. Tully crawls to the doors and slides them open a crack, intent on spying on Gomez. He peeks into the den, filled with floor-to-ceiling bookshelves. Gomez reaches for a book, pulling it part way from the shelf. The entire shelf, a secret panel, revolves and deposits Gomez on the other side of the wall. Tully gets to his feet, goes through the doors, and staggers for the bookcase. He hears a cacophony of noises, creaking, groaning, chains and pulleys, animal howls, as Gomez descends, unseen, into the vault. Back in the attic, the armoire has been totally empty. Morticia looks over the contents of a nearby shelf. Thing sits on the shelf, offering a bejeweled treasure.
There it is, just what we've been searching for. Thank you, Thing.
Morticia passes Margaret the jewel-encrusted cylinder of webbed gold, dragon's heads with gaping jaws at either end. Margaret is at first afraid to touch it, but greed helps her get over it.
My God, what is it?
A family heirloom. A finger trap from the court of Emperor Rowe.
My God, it must be worth a fortune. Look at those emeralds. Oh, Morticia, this is too extravagant, even for the auction.
Let's keep it. Hush. It's for charity. Widows and orphans, we need more of them. Margaret?
Enchanted by the object, Margaret isn't listening. She inserts her fingers, and they're instantly stuck.
The seance tonight, won't you come? It's Gomez. I'm terribly worried he won't eat. He can't sleep. He's been coughing up blood.
He coughs up blood?
Well, not like he used to.
Back in the den, Tully reaches for a book. But Tully's book comes out of its place on the shelf and nothing happens. Fighting back his frustration, Tully reads the title, Gone with the Wind. He opens the cover. A hurricane blast of wind gusts from the open book, blowing Tully's hair straight up. He manages to close the book, and heart-pounding returns it to the shelf. A short while later in Gomez's study, we see Tully's briefcase now filled with greenish doubloons. Gomez, wearing a green accountant's eye shade, weighs a final handful of coins on an old-fashioned measuring scale, then tosses them into Tully's briefcase.
There. The monthly expenses.
Tully snaps the briefcase shut and hoists it from Gomez's desk, its dead weight in his hands, another hateful ordeal.
I don't suppose you have any paper money in that vault. Gomez, I believe it's time for a checkbook.
Never! The banks. I don't trust them. Strange people, Tully.
Really?
Not like you or me. Or Fester. The seance. I need you here. For him.
Seance?
Tully lugs the briefcase toward the door.
8 o'clock, by the way.
Tully turns back. Gomez flips an extra doubloon across the room. It lands expertly in Tully's vest pocket.
I broke another of Judge Womack's windows this morning.
Tully resumes his put-upon march to the door. Cut to Judge Womack's house. A little later. Tully is on the front steps. Judge Womack won't let him inside. Tully searches his pockets for the doubloon, helplessly enduring another of the judge's tongue lashings. The perils of double casting in the same scene.
Still working for Addams? Mother warned you, Margaret. I can still hear her voice, clear as a bell she'd always say, day in and day out. Marry Tully Alford.
Is that me? Is that me?
And you'll hear Satan laugh. Here's your doubloon. You lowlife. Are those emeralds?
Cut to Tully's law office, later still. Tully enters the secretary's alcove, still lugging his impossibly heavy briefcase. His offices were once quite elegant, but now the leather on the chairs is starting to crack, and repainting is long overdue. Tully looks around for his secretary.
Miss Bradbury? Miss Bradbury!
She's at lunch, Mr. Alford.
Tully steps into his office and is alarmed by a figure. Sitting in a chair on the client's side of Tully's desk is Abigail Craven, an arrogant, aristocratic-seeming 60-ish doyenne. Her steely will and conniving manipulativeness are barely veiled by a thin layer of polish and good manners. Instantly obsequious, Tully sets his heavy briefcase on his desk and shakes her hand.
Mrs. Craven, I was just about to call you.
I'm certain you were. You haven't met my son, Gordon, have you, Mr. Alford?
Tully turns amiably, but his face falls at the sight of Gordon Craven. Fleshy and round in his 40s, impeccably if eccentrically dressed, his dark hair plastered with pomade. With his barrel chest and his kamikaze demeanor, he is immediately threatening. Tully blanches.
Is this the one, Mother? The deadbeat you mentioned?
Before Tully can react, Gordon has him by the throat, holding him against the wall like an oil painting.
Wait a minute, hold on! You have to listen to me!
We do, Mr. Alford, and why?
Please, just hear me out!
Mother, your call.
Gordon and I enjoy a very special relationship. I'm wild about him.
She's a pip.
Refreshing, no? Down, Gordon.
Mother.
Gordon!
Gordon!
Gordon lets go. Whimpering, Tully crawls towards his desk.
How is your wife, Mr. Alford? I've heard so much about her. Still charming, still spending.
I don't have the money to repay you. I've tried everything.
We've lent you a considerable sum. Many thousands of dollars. Payment is due.
Soon, I promise.
Oh, Gordon, I want to believe him.
So do I.
He's so terribly frustrating.
She's a saint.
Silly boy. Make me proud.
Gordon grabs Tully and sweeps him onto his desk. Tully's briefcase pops open as it hits the floor. The Addams doubloons spill out. Abigail and Gordon light up at the sight of gold. They share a malicious smile. Gordon leers down at the battered Tully.
He's lied to us, Mother.
It's not what you think. These are doubloons for the Addams account.
Addams?
There's more. There's a fortune. But no one can get to it. Don't you think I've tried?
Have you tried hard enough? Ask him, sweetheart.
Gordon descends on Tully menacingly.
No, sweetheart. Don't ask.
Gordon's face hovers inches from Tully's own. The glare from the backlight whites out Gordon's hair, making Gordon look the spitting image of the bald, long-lost Fester. Tully, disbelieving, comes nose to nose with Gordon.
Fester?
Gordon makes a puzzled face at his mother. Cut to the Addams mansion, den, evening. A thunderstorm rages outside. Morticia stands at the open window. Gomez stands behind her, his arms around her waist.
Hailstones.
And lightning.
It's a miserable night.
I know, darling. Seance weather.
Morticia leans out the window.
Children, we're starting. Put down that antenna.
Another lightning flash. Cut to motel room at the same time. A typical rundown highway-style motel room. Gordon is seated on the bed, facing a cracked mirror. Abigail stands behind him, consulting a picture of Fester that Tully has lent them.
I'm sorry.
Page 21.
Okay. It's uncanny, my little boy. And this hideous creature.
Mother!
Handsome creation. Think of it, my angel. No more grubby storefront scams. No more loan sharking to scum like Tully Alford. All that delicious money. I can feel it in my fingertips.
So can I.
Just 1 week and out. You locate the vault and then we're gone. Poof! Before they notice what's missing.
And Alford?
We need him for now. And later we'll be miles away and he'll take the rap.
You're so good.
Abigail holds up a shaving brush covered with foam.
Shave and a haircut, mister?
2 minutes.
Cut to the Addams entryway a few minutes later. Lurch peels off Margaret's and Tully's wet overcoats. Margaret wears the same clothes she wore on her earlier visit. The finger trap has made it impossible for her to change.
What a miserable evening.
Don't add to it.
Wednesday has come to escort them. Tully tries to make conversation.
Big night for you guys. Hey, small fry.
Tully reaches out to pat Wednesday's head. She moves away.
Hello, sweetheart. Could you?
Wednesday deftly releases the trap from Margaret's fingers. Margaret is amazed. She tries to straighten her disheveled clothes.
Thank God. Call me a cab, Tully.
Get it yourself.
Give me the car keys.
Give it a rest.
Morticia appears.
Welcome, honored guests.
Lurch presents a tray of vile-looking canapes. Morticia motions to the tray.
Entrails.
Cut to the den a short time later. The family and Tully and Margaret sit around a round table, a crystal ball in the center. In the background, Lurch plays music on an organ from an adjoining room.
Let us gather in this house of yearning on this day of heartsick loss at this table of woe. Is everyone comfortable?
Tully and Margaret exchange furtive glances. Morticia reveals a tarnished gold candle holder in the shape of a raven. The candle is in its belly, and the beams of light glow from its eyes.
Sing, O spirits. Hearken, all souls. Every year on this date we offer a clarion call to Fester Addams.
Stop it. Pugsley.
Pugsley has a meat cleaver aimed at his sister. Reluctantly, he hands it to Gomez.
Kids.
From generations to generation, our beacon to the beyond. Do you accept this glorious burden?
May it weigh me down through all my melancholy years.
All close eyes and join hands.
They do. Granny takes a squeamish Margaret's hand.
Oh, what a grip!
Granny pulls away, leaving her hand behind. Her sleeve apparently empty.
My hand! She's got my hand!
Left holding Thing, Margaret shrieks. Pugsley laughs appreciatively. Margaret tries to shake Thing off, but he hangs on tightly. Granny cackles.
Excuse me.
Ashton, Margaret tries to escape. Tully pulls her back to her seat.
Sit down, Pumpkin. Join the fun.
Mama, you should know better. Thing, you're a handful.
Thing lets go and runs off. Margaret sits, stiff as a corpse. Still chuckling, Granny takes a hold of Margaret's now rigid hand with her own real hand. Margaret shudders. With a last look around the table to ensure that everyone is settled down, Morticia resumes the seance.
Wednesday.
Let us ransom you from the power of the grave. Tonight, O death, let us be your plague.
Mama.
I feel that he's near! Fester Addams, gather your strength and knock 3 times!
A heavy hollow sound reverberates from the front hallway. It crashes 3 times. Granny's eyes pop open.
Did you hear that?
Ask again, Mama, quickly.
Lurch's organ music perfectly underscores and punctuates the scene.
By all means.
Tully smirks, barely able to contain his smug enthusiasm.
Ask! Ask!
Fester Addams! I demand that you knock again!
A moment later, an even louder set of 3 knocks reverberates through the room. Jubilant, Gomez springs to his feet. Lurch hits a crescendo on the organ.
He's at the door!
Gomez runs out and through the house to the entryway. His family at his heels, Gomez eagerly pulls open the front door. There, on the front steps, stands Gordon. Gordon's head is completely shaved, and his clothing and pallor are pure Fester. The exact resemblance is shocking. It seems a miracle. Gomez and Fester stare at each other. Fester's eyes have a hard, I dare you to question me look in them. Neither man says a word.
Could it be?
Is that him?
Is it possible?
Oh my god.
Morticia looks to Gomez for confirmation. Gomez and Fester continue their face-off. Gomez breaks the stalemate.
Fester!
Gomez!
Gomez throws open his arms. He smothers Fester in an embrace. Fester endures it. Abigail steps forward. She now wears a plain, dowdy suit, and her hair is in braided coils. She now speaks in a German-Austrian accent.
Good evening, I am Dr. Pinderschloss.
Cut to the drawing room a short while later. Fester stands by the tall baronial fireplace where an enormous fire burns. Steam rises off his great wet coat, enveloping him. Pugsley stands nearby, beside Fester's steamer trunk, studying the exotic decals.
How did this happen? How did it come to be? The story, it is most amazing and beautiful. He was found in Miami, tangled in the tuna net. It was just last month during the Hurricane Helga. The sky, it was black like pitch. The waves, they were walls of doom. Can you imagine? Then they drag him from the ocean, from the very jaws of oblivion. I am telling you, there are tests, so many tests, and a complete psychological profile. At long last, the Department of Fish und the Game, they say, lo und behold, oh my, go tell it on the mountaintop, he is your brother. Boom! They give him to me at Human Services. I am bringing him after all these years, after who knows what heartache. After the naked and the dead, I am bringing him home to you.
That's preposterous.
Margaret.
Tully nudges her in the ribs to shut up.
But don't you think it's absurd?
Honey.
Isn't that the most ridiculous thing you've ever heard?
Awesome.
It certainly is.
Gomez slaps Fester companionably. Fester hates being touched.
And now you're back. Back to share your joys. Back to share your sorrows. Back to share, well, hey, everything.
Well, I just don't know.
Tully hands Margaret the finger trap to distract her.
Darling, how does this work again?
An infant would understand.
Margaret, disgusted with Tully, demonstrates the finger trap. Her fingers are instantly stuck again.
Fester Addams, at home at long last.
Well, at least for a week.
A week?
Don't be ridiculous. You're home.
Sorry, but I have to get back. I've got a lot of things cooking. in the Bermuda Triangle.
Oh, Gomez. The Bermuda Triangle.
Devil's Island.
The Black Isle of Calcutta.
Excuse us.
Second honeymoon.
At the steamer trunk, Pugsley is disintegrating the lock with a beaker full of acid and an eyedropper.
Dr. Pinderschloss, will you be staying too?
Oh, no, I really must be going, but I will be back, you can bet, to be checking on Fester's adjustment.
The acid has eaten away the lock on Fester's trunk. Pugsley opens the trunk a crank. He fishes among the contents, his arm inside up to the shoulder. Something snaps. He grins, then pulls out his hand. His fingers are crushed in a rusty, ferocious-looking bear trap.
Cool!
Wednesday alone stands apart in her mournful fashion. She is instinctively suspicious of this new Fester.
Nobody gets out of the Bermuda Triangle. Not even for a vacation. Everyone knows that.
Oh, my little fun, there is so much you do not understand. The human spirit, it is hard to kill.
Even with a chainsaw!
Abigail pinches Wednesday's cheek hard. Wednesday continues to stare at Fester. Cut to Fester's room later. Morticia has shown Fester to his room. As she speaks, the camera lingers on photos on a bureau of a young Fester and Gomez, partners in various mischiefs. Morticia begins to open Fester's trunk and go through it.
Unpacking? You must be exhausted. Let me.
No, that's all right. You don't have to.
Morticia begins removing Fester's burglary equipment from the trunk.
A crowbar. Dynamite. Cyanide. Fester. As if we'd run out. Good night.
Morticia exits. Fester examines two photographs in an ornate bifold frame on the bureau. The photos are of identical, beautiful twin girls. The left has the name Flora imprinted. The right, the name Fauna. The clock in the hall strikes midnight. He opens the door to his room and peeks out. He sees Wednesday in her doorway across the hallway staring back at him. He whips back into his room.
Nosy little brat.
Frustrated, he looks out again. Wednesday's door is shut. He looks both ways. Cut to the attic a few minutes later. As the trapdoor rises, Fester climbs into the attic. He takes in the pile of odd objects and memorabilia. Fester approaches a set of glass cases. The first case contains a set of mounted butterflies pinned in place. In the second larger case, there are several stuffed vampire bats. Fester examines the third, still larger case. It's about 3 feet high and fairly wide and completely empty.
It's reserved.
The camera pulls back. Wednesday stands near the trapdoor, staring at Fester, who stands by the empty case. Fester is startled, but tries to act calm.
It's reserved? For what?
For Skipper.
For Skipper? Is he a dog, or...?
No. Skipper isn't a dog. That would be cruel.
Of course not. I'm sorry.
He's a bully.
Fester stares at Wednesday. He backs away from her. Cut to Fester's room a few minutes later. Fester retreats to his room, unnerved by Wednesday. He collapses into the bed, which erupts in a cloud of dust around him. As he begins to relax, he jumps at the creak of a door opening.
Who's there?
A massive shadow of a sinister hand with wriggling fingers appears on the wall. Fester goes for the knife he keeps in his boot. The door slams shut. The window explodes open. A lightning flash illuminates the terrible sight of a disembodied hand on the bed. Thing skitters onto Fester's leg. Fester jumps with fear, pushing against the backboard. He shakes his leg, violently throwing Thing off. He screams. Cut to Morticia and Gomez's bedroom. Gomez and Morticia snuggle in bed in the afterglow of their celebration, her head resting dreamily on his shoulder. Gomez enjoying a cigar. Fester's scream is heard distinctly down the hall.
My own dear brother. I've got goosebumps.
I know.
Screams in the night. It can only mean one thing.
They wait listening. Fester screams again.
He's home.
They gaze together out into the torrential downpour as Fester continues to scream. They both smile. Cut to Fester's room the next morning. Obviously moved, Gomez stands in Fester's room watching him sleep. Thing snoozes on Fester's chest just like a kitty cat. Gomez gently lifts him and tucks him into the pocket of his smoking jacket. Instantly awake, certain that Gomez is about to attack him, Fester leaps from the bed, jumps Gomez, and pins him to the floor. Pulling the knife from his boot, he presses the blade against his throat.
Breakfast?
Gomez judo flips Fester off his chest, then springs to his feet.
Damn, it's good to have you back. Let's go.
Gomez leads the way out. He pauses and turns.
2 out of 3.
Cut to the Addams kitchen later. The family eats breakfast in the subterranean kitchen. Only Pugsley is missing. The walls sweat and smoke crawls along the floor. I don't know what that means. Granny works at a monstrous flaming stove. A pot of innards and various unidentifiable somethings sizzles on top. Throughout, Granny flips these offals onto family members' plates. Lurch assists her. Morticia has seated Fester between Gomez and herself.
May I have the salt?
What do we say?
Now.
Morticia smiles approvingly and passes Wednesday the salt.
What is this?
Mama's spécialité de la maison.
Start with the eyes.
Sleep well.
Like the dead.
Really? Who knew the Bermuda Triangle could change a man so much? You used to toss and turn all night. We had to chain you to the bedposts.
It doesn't make any sense.
Fester has had no idea a simple exchange could be so fraught with pitfalls. He already feels cornered.
The Bermuda Triangle is such a large and mysterious place. You'd be surprised at all the things you don't know.
Oh, she certainly would. Wednesday adores the Bermuda Triangle. She studies it. Death at sea. She's hooked.
Ask me anything.
Fester turns his back on Wednesday and addresses Gomez.
Being in my old room sure brings back memories. Remember Camp Custer?
For preteen offenders.
And I was thinking about Christmas.
Waiting for Santa to come down the chimney.
Hanging our stockings.
Building a fire.
Aren't memories precious? I'd like to spend today wandering through the house, remembering.
No. Sorry, old man, no wandering today. Today we're going straight to the vault.
Pugsley runs into the room, dragging a freshly stolen stop sign still on its pole. Gomez holds up a finger, shushing everyone. Just then, we hear the screeching sound of cars colliding. There's a satisfying crunch of metal. Everyone beams.
1 second!
Something in Granny's soup tureen yelps. Granny, keeping her eyes on Fester, jabs her ladle into the tureen.
Don't be shy.
Cut to the den later. Gomez and Fester are in front of the secret door bookcase. Gomez reaches for a book. Fester is right there with him, his hand on Gomez's hand as he goes to pull out the old volume. Fester reads the title.
Greed.
They share a smile. The bookcase opens and they enter. Gomez runs gleefully down a flight of steps.
I feel like we're children again.
They reach a small circular room. Over their heads hang hundreds of rusty chains. Gomez grabs one of the chains. As he does so, he punches Fester on the shoulder.
Tag, you're in.
Gomez pulls the chain and he and Fester drop through a trapdoor. Gomez and Fester are sliding down a twisted slide. Gomez is gleeful. Fester is petrified. The slide deposits Gomez and Fester on a dock, leading to the underground river. Gomez is all high spirits while Fester is wobbling.
Smell that air, Fester.
Fester inhales dutifully. He gags.
Like a tomb.
Gomez strides to the end of the dock, where he does a running leap to board a Venetian gondola. He puts on a straw gondolier's hat and calls out to Fester.
Tutti a bordo, fratello mio. The sea, your second home.
Fester boards the gondola gingerly, looking queasy.
Ship ahoy!
Gomez sets sail, pulling down the underground river. Cut to the attic at the same time. Wednesday and Pugsley are exploring the attic, investigating various items.
Do you think it's really Uncle Fester?
Father says so, but I think Mother isn't sure.
Wednesday stands in front of an electric chair.
Pugsley, sit in the chair.
Why?
So we can play a game.
What game?
It's called... Is There a God?
Cut to entrance to the vault. Gomez pulls towards a massive metal door, 10 feet high, set right into the cavern wall. Gomez docks at the narrow ledge in front of the door. Gomez leaps onto the ledge and Fester follows. He's getting excited now, wondering what treasures exist behind this door.
The vault?
Gomez goes to work on the oversized combination lock.
2 to the right, 10 to the left, and then around 2.
5?
11! 2, 10, 11. Eyes, fingers, toes.
Fester licks his lips with anticipation.
So many years.
Long, barren years.
Years that we wasted.
Years we'll bring back.
We enter together. A triumphant return!
We enter as brothers. We enter
as one!
Gomez slowly opens the door, revealing the vault. Rather than a treasure trove, it looks like a decrepit 19th century men's club. Torn red leather chairs, an assortment of torture devices, an elaborate bar with a cracked mirror.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Our secret place, Sanctus Sanctorium. If these walls could talk, eh, old man?
What would they say?
You tell me.
You go first.
Senior partner.
Junior spaceman?
First, a brandy. Do the honors.
Gomez begins searching through a cardboard box to the side.
I've got a real treat in store.
Where is it, you ridiculous imbecile?
There are half dozen excellent brandies on the well-stocked shelf. Fester pockets a silver jigger, then pulls on a bottle. Another secret handle, spinning the entire bar around with Fester on it. On the other side is the treasure room, a stone cavern stacked high with gold and jewels. Fester gets one slack-jawed glimpse before the bar spins back, depositing him in the original room. Gomez has been too busy digging through the box to have noticed Fester's carousel ride. He turns, his arms overflowing with foam cans.
Showtime!
With shaking hands, Fester pours himself a stiff drink and replaces the bottle on the shelf. Back in the attic, Wednesday is strapping Pugsley's arms and legs into the electric chair.
But if he's not Uncle Fester, then who is he?
Somebody else.
Wednesday pushes a button, and the lights on the chair go on. The entire mechanism hums and vibrates.
It has to warm up.
Why?
So it can kill you.
I knew that.
Back in the outer treasure room, Gomez is running home movies. He and Fester sit in side-by-side armchairs with the stuffing coming out. They smoke cigars and drink brandy from extra-large snifters. On the home movie screen, we see a young Gomez and Fester, shark fins strapped to their backs, sneaking around a corner toward a swimming pool crowded with kids. The film jumps to an elegant ball. The camera finds Gomez and Fester now in their teens. The Addams boys look both sinister and dashing in their tuxedos, and Gomez is already smoking his trademark cigar.
Here, the debutante ball. Remember that fateful night?
Of course. Your first cigar?
What? Come on, old man. I've smoked since I was 5. Mother insisted.
On screen, the boys flank their dates, the twin girls from the pictures on Fester's bureau.
Flora and fauna. Quite the pair, eh, Gomez?
Gomez sighs and then becomes extremely dramatic.
Can you ever forgive me?
What?
I didn't love them, yet I wooed them both out of foolish pride. You were so dashing, you could have any woman you wanted, dead or alive. I was jealous, insanely jealous. I admit that now, but I never meant to drive you off. Not to the Bermuda Triangle.
Water under the bridge. Forgiven. Forgotten.
Gomez holds out his arms. Fester endures the hug. Gomez turns the hug into a painful headlock. Fester gasps for breath.
Say it! Say the password!
password. Come on! Stop fooling. You remember.
Please. I'm choking. Please.
Releases Fester.
You forgot our secret password? The word we used 100 times a day? Our special private name for each other?
That was a long time ago when we were children. You almost killed me, you demented freak!
Did you say demented freak?
Yes, you demented freak!
Fester has accidentally hit on the password. Gomez lights up. He flings open his arms.
Demented freak!
Back in the attic, the electric chair is really humming. Pugsley now has the chair's helmet on as well. Wednesday is about to throw the huge master switch.
But why would Dr. Pinderschloss tell a lie?
Because she wants something. Do you have a last request?
Can I have ice cream?
No.
Then just do it.
As Wednesday is about to throw the switch, Morticia's head appears from the trapdoor.
Children, what are you doing?
Morticia climbs up into the attic.
I'm going to electrocute him.
But we're late for the charity auction.
Mother.
Morticia pretends to be stern.
I said no.
Please?
All right.
She smiles and flips the switch. We hear the sound of high-voltage sizzling Pugsley. Wednesday is very solemn, her usual impassive self. Then a smile breaks through. Cut to Bayshore Women's Club that night. Margaret Alford stands embarrassed on the auction block. She holds her fingers aloft, fingers still ensnared in the bejeweled ancient finger trap. She wears the same disheveled dress, unable to disguise its sleeped-in look. On the stage beside her, Judge Womack acts as the event's auctioneer. He reads into the mic from a catalog.
Encrusted with rubies and 15 emerald chips. It was donated by Morticia and Gomez Addams.
Gomez and Morticia sit with their family. They look around modestly. The assembled crowd stares at the Addams family in horror and disbelief.
Remember, the money we raise goes to help those less fortunate. This year, over half our proceeds will benefit the elderly and the mentally disabled.
All the Addamses look at Granny proudly. She beams.
I open the bidding at $5,000.
Bah! Not enough!
He thrusts up his arm.
20,000!
For the elderly and the insane. They've earned it.
Judge Womack is surprised at the bid. Next to him, Margaret looks confused.
What are they doing? It's theirs.
Judge Womack gives her a look that says, "Shut up." Pugsley aims a pea shooter at Judge Womack. Wednesday glares at her brother and holds out her hand. He sheepishly passes her the pea shooter.
I have 20.
25!
Fester takes Morticia's opera glasses and peers appraisingly at the glittering finger trap. He smiles greedily.
25.
Morticia bashfully raises her hand.
30. Mon sauvage.
What are they doing?
Wednesday now has the pea shooter in her mouth, aimed at Judge Womack. Granny gives her a stern look. Wednesday sheepishly hands Granny the pea shooter.
35! That is Divina.
I don't understand.
50!
Morticia lowers her arm, but keeps it extended for Gomez to kiss. He does so passionately. The flabbergasted Judge Womack repeats breathlessly.
I have $50,000.
Your turn, my ecstasy.
It's yours, amor mio.
You spoiled me, mon amour.
Gomez utters a little cry of wild passion. Judge Womack hammers his gavel as Margaret's jaw drops.
Sold to Morticia Addams for $50,000.
Judge Womack shakes his head in disgust. As he does so, a projectile hits his neck. He yelps and grabs his neck. Granny has the pea shooter in her mouth. She has clearly just scored a hit on Judge Womack. She and the children share a conspiratorial smile. Cut to the interior of the Duesenberg, the Addams family car. Dusk. Fester has his fingers trapped in the jeweled treasure. He stares at it, almost as if hypnotized. Morticia, beside him, admires it also.
Isn't it too enchanting?
It's for charity, and it belongs to the family.
Fester pulls his fingers, trying to free them.
How do you take it off?
Morticia releases it for him.
There's a trick to it. course.
Gomez shares a look with Wednesday, then leans forward from his place on the other side of Morticia and, eyebrows knitted, frowns at Fester. Cut to the dining room later. Gomez's elaborate model train layout fills the room. A train races out of an abandoned mine. Thing gallops into view next to Gomez's controls.
How do you take it off? That's absurd! That finger trap was a party favor at his 10th birthday!
Gomez demonically starts a second train, setting it on a short collision course with the first. Cut to Fester's room. Preparing to go to the vault, Fester, with cool professionalism, slips his safe-cracking tools into the bandolier strapped across his chest. He reaches into the drawer and accidentally retrieves a photo of a young Gomez preparing Fester for torture. He stares at the picture, then tosses it aside as if touching it burned him. Back in the dining room, puffing black smoke, the model trains race toward one another, toward the inevitable. His emotions churning like the locomotive wheels, Gomez rants to Thing.
He wore that finger trap for 2 years! Mother had to teach him how to eat with his feet! And the combination, and the password, and my cigar. And he slept so well!
Thing paces furiously. Cut to the kitchen. Granny sits at the kitchen table reading a cookbook. 2 books are propped up. Granny reads from the first book. We see the title, The Joy of Cooking. She turns to the second book. We see the title, Grey's Anatomy. The sound of Gomez's trains has begun to resound throughout the house. A train whistle pierces the night, rattling the table and Granny. Cut to Pugsley's room. Morticia is seated on the bed. She has a family photo album in her lap. Wednesday and Pugsley in pajamas sit beside her, looking at the album.
Is that father when he was little?
Yes, and that's Uncle Fester.
Where are they?
At a birthday party. See the fire trucks?
From Gomez's train room, we hear a whistle blast.
All aboard!
Oh no.
Father's playing with his trains.
He must be upset.
It's always a bad sign. Hotties.
Cut to the Addams library. Grimly determined, Fester removes the well-worn copy of Greed from the shelf, and the secret panel opens. He's headed for the vault. Back in the dining room, the model train whistles at full blast, shrieking and warning as they round Dead Man's Curve, heading for each other. Gomez is raving almost to the boiling point.
These thoughts! I'm in torment! What is truth? What is fiction?
Thing pounds the table in frustration. Cut to Lurch's bedroom. Lurch is sitting up in his too small bed, wearing a nightshirt and cap. He is sewing a button on a shirt, a gentle giant. The chug of trains now shakes the entire house. Lurch's needle slips from the noise, and he pricks his finger. He sucks on his finger, looking troubled. Cut to the secret chamber. Fester is at the interior wall. He looks above at the countless chains. Which chain to pull? Fester hears a train whistle in the distance as he randomly yanks one of the chains. The chain yanks back, pulling Fester straight upward in the wrong direction. Back in Pugsley's room, Morticia and the children are listening to the sounds of the trains, now chugging, whistling cacophony.
He's using the diesel.
A shrill blast rings out.
The covered bridge.
Another blast.
Dead Man's Curve.
I know what he's worried about.
So do I, darling. But let's get to bed. Now, have you brushed your teeth and washed behind your ears?
I did. I'm sorry.
There's another blast.
Is that man really Uncle Fester?
Uncle Fester whooshes through the floor-to-ceiling piranha tank in the room. Only Morticia sees this. Back in the dining room, the train crash is imminent.
Spirits above me! Give me a sign! Shall I be joyous, or shall I be damned?
The trains collide, and there's a huge collision. Metal rends, smoke and flames. Cut to the yard. It's the middle of the night. A coal chute is set in the side of the house, which ejects a soaked, disoriented Fester at the feet of Morticia. Silhouetted by the full moon, she stands regally above him, waiting for him, her velvet cloak covering her night clothes.
Sleepless night? Walk with me, Fester.
She turns and glides away. Fester has no choice but to follow. Morticia leads Fester into the chill of the cemetery. As they pass them, Morticia points out various headstones. The marble statues look so real they could be alive.
Aunt Laborgia, executed by a firing squad. Cousin Fledge, torn limb from limb by 4 wild horses. And darling Uncle Elmar, buried alive. Psychopaths, fiends, mad dog killers, roots, Fester pioneers, lest we forget.
Among the statuary is a marble vulture posed with the dignity of an eagle.
Your beloved Muerto. After you left, he was simply a different vulture. He wouldn't circle. He wouldn't peck. That's how much you mean to this family.
They reach the mausoleum where Mother and Father Addams lie. Their statues are depicted as a god and goddess, charioteers driving their steeds to the netherworld. Father Addams smokes the ubiquitous Addams cigar. Morticia gazes up at the likenesses, but Fester averts his eyes. The faces seem to be staring directly at him.
Mother and Father Addams, imagine what we owe them. Oh, Fester, how I wish the children could have known them better. But tell that to an angry mob.
She turns to trace the family crest carved into the mausoleum. A Latin motto is carved in the bottom.
3 lions rampant, the vulture ascendant in our credo. Sic Georgiamus alus subjectatos nunc. We gladly feast on those who would subdue us. Not just pretty words. As an Addams, you understand completely, don't you?
She stares levelly at him.
As an Addams, yes, I do.
Good night, Fester.
She heads toward the house. She turns.
Rest in peace.
Cut to the hallway, early morning. Fester is on the phone, hunched over, his eyes darting to make sure no one overhears.
They're on to me, Mother. I'm almost sure. Of course I've tried. I still can't find it. You've got to get over here.
Wednesday is bound and gagged on a chair in the background. Pugsley runs up to Fester with 2 bottles of poison. Fester, vaguely impatient, points to one. Pugsley nods and runs off.
Don't say that. You know that I do.
Cut to the kitchen a few minutes later. Granny and Lurch are doing the dishes. Granny rinses and Lurch dries. Lurch then hands each dish to Thing, who stacks them. Morticia sits at the kitchen table, sipping a cup of tea. Wednesday stands before Morticia, holding up a large, nasty-looking carving knife.
Is that for your brother?
Wednesday nods.
I don't think so.
Morticia hands Wednesday a much larger, even nastier-looking knife. Wednesday takes the knife and exits.
His trains are everywhere. The children are beside themselves. This can't go on. How can I help him? Tell me, Mama.
Well, let's look it up.
Granny wipes her hands and opens a large, ragged, leather-bound book. She starts thumbing through the pages.
Troubled husbands, adultery.
Oh, no.
Financial, money troubles.
No.
Turned into a toad or reptile.
Is there an index?
Oh, here it is. Suspicion and anxiety in husbands.
What does it say?
Drain all his blood, replace it with vinegar overnight, leave a headless rooster beneath his pillow, smear his forehead, palms and feet with the tears of a stillborn monkey, add milk.
I can't do that. It's barbaric. Really, Mama. I'm surprised at you. Milk.
Lurch growls in agreement. Cut to Uncle Fester's bedroom the same time. Fester is sitting on a bed, kneading his hands, very upset. Abigail is calmly inspecting the room, studying various objects with disdain.
They know I'm a fraud. The whole bunch. It's not going to work.
Who knows? Gomez, that overheated moron?
He's no moron. He's Fester's brother. They had some awful fight years ago. He's suspicious. They all are. I can tell.
Really? Well, thank God I came over. I can counsel the troubled family, ease their distress, It's my calling, remember, Gordon?
What?
I'm a doctor.
Cut to the Addams drawing room a few minutes later. Gomez and Morticia sit with Abigail.
Dr. Pinderschloss is here to help. Should Gomez speak with Fester? He's right outside the door.
I would speak with Fester.
Gomez gets up and stalks towards the door, talking louder and louder.
If that were Fester, but that's not! That's an imposter! An imposture!
Just outside the door, Fester hears and storms off. Fester is marching towards his room when he hears...
Oh, villain! Villain, smiling damned villain!
Who calls me a villain? Breaks my pate across, plucks off my beard and blows it in my face?
If I must strike you dead, I will.
Fester gets a genuine gleam in his eye.
Bloodshed!
He looks down into the front hall where Wednesday and Pugsley are dueling with swords. Pugsley runs Wednesday through. She staggers, then falls dead.
No, give me that sword.
Pugsley hands him the sword.
Haven't you ever slaughtered anyone?
He's only a child.
No excuse. Aim for the major artery, the jugular.
That's what I said.
Back in the drawing room, Gomez is still raving.
A faker! A phony! Another fraud! A base, deceitful!
Mr. Addams, I believe I am understanding. I will help ya. The theory of displacement, is this familiar?
No. Tish?
Morticia shakes her head.
It is too exciting. I will explain.
Is it unpleasant?
Deeply.
Gomez sits beside Morticia. He takes her hand. They are both fascinated.
Your very own brother, you drive him away. Go! Offers you, but then your feelings a little black monster.
Pugsley?
Guilt. Yeah, your brother returns. You feel guilty. You displace.
I do?
Of course. The feelings in your brain cell, the bubble and they collide. You suspect things. You love him, but you resent him. Love, hate, love, like for Mama, no?
But I don't hate my mother. It was an accident.
It is a very common psychosis. I am seeing it every day.
Oh, lucky doctor.
Displacement. How bizarre. And here I imagine Fester was the problem. He's sullen.
He's furtive.
He's backstabbing.
He sulks.
I suspect him.
You're unbalanced.
And I hate him.
But that's love.
By God, you're right. He is Fester.
Gomez is suddenly jubilant again.
Thank you, Dr. Pinderschloss.
I do what I can.
Cut to Wednesday's room. A short time later, Fester is seated on a leather couch. Pugsley and Wednesday are snuggled up on either side. They are all looking at an enormous ancient book which Fester holds open in his lap. The title reads Wounds, Scars, and Gouges.
You see, children, there's a lot to learn. Gangrene.
Uncle Fester, how do you know so much?
I've been around. I pick up things.
In the Bermuda Triangle?
Look, children, a new chapter.
Oh, boy.
Scabs.
Cut to the exterior of the Addams house a little later. An explosion fills the screen as dirt and debris go flying. Fester is crouched over a detonator. He has clearly just caused the explosion. Wednesday and Pugsley crouch beside him.
3 parts dynamite with a nitroglycerin cap. It's perfect for small homes, carports, and tool sheds.
What about picnics?
Fester smiles approvingly. He reaches into a crate and holds up a hand grenade. The children's eyes sparkle as if it were Christmas Day. High above in the window of Fester's room, Abigail stands at the window looking out. She is not pleased.
Everyone will be at the children's play tonight, correct?
Oh, yes, I've been working with them. It's going to be fun.
Fun? Fun! Is that what I'm here for? Fun?
She slaps Fester, then she immediately grabs him and hugs him.
Darling, I'm so sorry. You see what they've driven me to. I've raised a hand to my child, my reason to live. You can't go to the play.
But the kids.
The house will be deserted. The vault will be ours.
But
Abigail hugs Fester's head to her bosom.
Can you hear it? My treasure. My heartbeat. It beats only for you. Listen closely. It says, Gordon, I love you. Gordon, The vault.
I do hear it.
Soon we'll have the money and we'll be far from here. Loving mother, grateful son. This is no time for theater. Understood?
Cut to the roof. In the evening, Fester stands alone on the roof, looking out over the cemetery, brooding.
There you are! At last!
Gomez joins Fester at the railing.
What a fool I was to doubt you! Dr. Pinderschloss explained everything. What a lovely woman. So chilly. Displacement. It's a common psychosis. Isn't that grand?
Is it?
Gomez slaps an arm around him.
Look at it, Fester!
Beaming, Gomez gazes down into the cemetery. It is morbid and magnificent in the moonlight. The swamp bubbles, patches of fog crawl, unidentifiable beasties shamble.
The primeval ooze, quicksand, fumes, toxic waste. It's all ours, Fester. You belong here, old man.
You don't know what you're asking. You have a beautiful wife, wonderful kids, a wasteland. I'm in the way.
In the way? A brother.
Gomez, take care. For you, life is all fun and games. A dance in a graveyard, stench and decay. But things change.
Precisely. You're back. All those years apart, Fester. We can't do that again. You're home.
Thing pulls his golf club out to Fester. Gomez grabs another club. The two men hit golf balls off the roof and over the cemetery into the darkness. In the distance, we hear the sound of a window breaking.
Cut
to Fester's room later. Fester sits on the edge of his bed, brooding. Wednesday and Pugsley appear in the doorway.
Come on, Uncle Fester, come to the play.
I said I was busy.
But you said you'd help us with the Shakespeare and the pus.
I changed my mind.
Okay, and at this point, we are going to take a quick intermission so we can take a little break here. So, see you in a few minutes. Hello, welcome. Cast is reassembling, so we will get started with our second act here of the Addams Family reading. Alrighty, so we cut to the kids' school at night. The long Duesenberg car pulls up in front of the school building. Bystanders eye the strange and wondrous automobile. Lurch steps out of the car and opens the rear door with great ceremony. As the bystanders gape, the Addams family steps out of the car as if attending the Academy Awards. The lobby is crowded with the families of students. A young teacher, Susan, approaches Morticia. She's wholesome, frazzled, and a little too eager.
Mrs. Addams?
Yes?
Could I see you for a moment? I'm Susan Firkins, Wednesday's teacher.
Oh, of course, Mrs. Firkins. Wednesday's told us so much about you. Have you heard from your husband?
Cut to Fester's room at the same time. At his desk now, Fester works with great concentration. He appears to be building a bomb. He looks at the clock. He hurries. Cut back to the school auditorium lobby. Susan Perkins is showing Morticia a bulletin board hanging on one side of the lobby.
Wednesday is an excellent student, but frankly, I'm concerned. This is our class bulletin board. This month, our theme is Our Heroes, people we love and admire. You see, Susan Ringo has chosen the president.
Susan points to a magazine cover of President Bush, hanging next to a child's essay.
Isn't that sweet? And Harmony Feld has picked Diane Sawyer.
She points to a photo of Diane Sawyer hanging next to Harmony's essay.
Have you spoken to her parents?
But Wednesday brought in this picture. Calpurnia Addams.
She points to a photo of an oil painting of an evil-looking crone.
Wednesday's great aunt Calpurnia. She was burned as a witch in 1706. They say she danced naked in the town square and enslaved a minister.
Really?
Oh, yes, but don't worry. We've already told Wednesday. College first.
Susan stands with her mouth hanging open. Cut to the school auditorium lobby at night. Tully and Margaret are chatting with the Addamses. The Alford's son, Tully Jr., is wearing a felt elf costume.
Isn't he adorable? I made this myself.
It's charming. What is he, a lizard?
An elf. Look at you. That's better. You are just too precious for words. Why, I could just eat you alive.
No, Margaret. Too young.
So, Gomez, where's Fester this evening?
Moody, as usual. We're all out on a jaunt, and he's home alone in that big, empty house.
What a shame.
Granny and Lurch appear, hawking another of Granny's delicacies.
Toad on a stick! Get your red hot toad on a stick! Can't enjoy the show without your toad on a stick!
On the other side, Gomez attempts to schmooze Judge Womack.
I was hoping you'd come over and play a round of golf. Not to brag, but I've got a beautiful little 9-hole pitch and putt set up in my cemetery. Cemetery?
I'd rather rot in hell.
A previous engagement.
He tucks one of his cigars in Judge Womack's breast pocket and heads off to join his family. Cut to the variety show stage later. A half-dozen adorable 7-year-olds are on stage singing We Are the World. They finish to the enthusiastic applause of the auditorium full of parents. Morticia and Gomez politely join in while Lurch fidgets and Granny slumps bored in her chair.
The children are next.
Lurch stops fidgeting and Granny sits up straight. Cut to backstage at the same time. Sitting at the makeup mirror, Wednesday and Pugsley are putting on their armor. Fester is suddenly behind them, reflected in the mirror.
I changed my mind.
He thrusts a package toward them. Cut to the exterior of the Addams house at the same time. Abigail is hammering on the door with the knocker.
Gordon, it's Mother! Damn it, where are you? I never should have used him.
She tromps down the porch steps and heads around the side of the house, peering in the windows. Back in the auditorium, pushing people aside, Fester forces his way to where his family is seated. They're happy to see him.
I knew you couldn't stay away, old man.
Back outside the Addams mansion, standing on tiptoes, Abigail tries yet another window. At her ankles, various vines snake out from a window well. She gapes down at them and screams. They wrap around her ankles, preparing to pull her under. There's no one to hear her escape. Back on the variety show stage, Pugsley and Wednesday in their elaborate costumes are drawing to a climax of their scene from Hamlet. As they duel, they act their little Addams' part.
How all occasions do inform against me, and spur my dull revenge. Oh, from this time forth, my thoughts be bloody or be nothing worth. If I must strike you dead, I will.
Pugsley lands the first blow, slashing Wednesday's arm. Her sleeve rends and blood spurts out.
A hit. A very palpable hit.
They both press the attack, drawing blood. In a fatal blow, Pugsley slashes Wednesday's jugular. He makes horrible gurgling noises. Blood spurts and arterial spray.
Oh, proud death, what feast is toward in thine eternal cell?
The final vengeful moment, Wednesday hacks at Pugsley's left arm, cutting it off, sending a gusher of blood out of his stump. The arm drops to the stage and bounces off, landing in Judge Womack's lap. Wednesday clutches her bleeding throat.
Sweet oblivion, open your arms.
Wednesday falls dead. The audience sits perfectly still, jaws agape, deep in shock. An oil painting. Then the Addams family leaps as one to their feet, applauding wildly. On stage come up, and Pugsley and Wednesday bow deeply, accepting their family's applause. Fester applauds louder than anything. To Wednesday's bedroom later that night. Fester is tucking Wednesday into bed. They are now devoted friends.
There were sailors and pirates and an airplane full of tourists from Miami Beach, all lost in the triangle.
Uncle Fester, someday will you take me there?
It's a promise. Good night, Wednesday. You are terrific.
He kisses her on her forehead. She holds out her headless doll. Fester kisses the doll's empty neck. Wednesday then holds out the doll's severed head. Fester kisses it. Cut to the cemetery at the same time. Morticia is standing in the moonlight. Gomez sits on a bench nearby.
What a sublime evening. A theatrical triumph.
A Shakespearean delight. All hail Fester!
It's like a dream. When we first met years ago, it was an evening much like this. Magic in the air. A boy.
A girl.
An open grave. It was my first funeral.
You were so beautiful, pale and mysterious. No one even looked at the corpse.
Your cousin Balthazar. You were still a suspect. I couldn't stop staring all through the eulogy. Your eyes, your mustache, your laugh.
You bewitched me. I proposed that very night.
Just think. Someday we'll be buried here. Side by side, 6 feet under in matching coffins. Our lifeless bodies rotting together for all eternity.
Cara mia.
Mon sauvage.
They embrace in the moonlight.
Sex in the cemetery.
Cut to the conservatory next morning. Lurch is sweeping up. Among the plants, he comes upon Abigail wrapped tightly in a plant cocoon. Lurch growls. Cut to the kitchen a few minutes later. The cheerful Addams breakfast is underway. Fester is at the table with the family.
Did you like the blood?
Perfect! A full bucket! I was so proud.
Weren't we all? Wednesday, play with your food.
Wednesday has something moving in her cereal bowl. She teases it with a fork. Granny screams at the sideboard.
Ah! It's Mama?
Granny pulls part of a skeleton out one of the serving bowls.
Who put this in here?
Pugsley and Fester exchange a conspiratorial glance and giggle.
That's for company.
Rascals.
Abigail enters, peeling off bits of the vines that had encased her.
Doctor! You were so right. What an evening.
Fester fit right in.
The displacement is over.
Well, isn't that nice?
Does he really have to go?
Yeah, he does.
Well, if he insists on leaving, we shall mark the occasion. Tish?
We've planned a farewell party.
We've invited the whole clan.
Amazed by the gesture, Fester looks over at Gomez and Morticia.
What a lovely gesture.
Bloodshed, anguish, breakfast. We're a family again, and we owe it to you, Dr. Pinterschloss.
Please, Greta.
Greta?
Fester, walk me out.
Cut to the front walk a little later. Fester is escorting Abigail through the yard.
I'm fine, Mother. I'm completely in control.
They're not your family, Gordon. I am. They don't love you. I do. They're evil and corrupt and degraded. I can give you that.
I'm fine, really.
We'll see.
They reach the gate.
Open up!
Even gate is intimidated and swings open. Cut to Morticia's conservatory, evening. Fester is cutting the blooms off Morticia's roses.
We're opening the ballroom now.
Fester hesitates, then follows Morticia. Cut to hallway outside the ballroom a short time later. The whole family and Fester stand in front of the tall, elaborately carved oaken double doors. Gomez unlatches them. Together they push them open and step into the ballroom. Moonlight streams in through the floor-to-ceiling windows, revealing the true enormity of the ballroom. It's straight out of a Rococo palace, but in a dark and gothic palette. Gomez steps up to Morticia and embraces her. They begin to dance. Fester remains frozen in the center of the ballroom, overwhelmed with the grandeur.
A party? For me? Here?
As Gomez and Morticia waltz past.
All for you.
Tish, how long has it been since we've waltzed?
Oh, seconds.
He dips Morticia. As she bends back, he reaches for one of the shrouds off a table and whips it off, filling the screen. When the shroud comes down, the party is in full swing. Gomez and Morticia resplendent now in their party clothes. Morticia in a formal version of her black sheath, and Gomez in a black velvet lounging pajamas, smoking jacket and fez. Small orchestra plays a fractured waltz. Gomez and Morticia dance among the Addams family relatives. Among them are cousin Ophelia, who looks like a Tennessee Williams heroine who has just been fished out of the Mississippi. And cousin Lumpy, a teenage hunchback in a loud blazer. Lumpy Addams dances over to Gomez.
I wonder what happened to Uncle Fester.
Still primping, I suppose.
Her mind waterlogged in theory. Ophelia addresses Morticia with a spacey Thorazine smile.
Where is Fester?
Soon, Ophelia, soon.
Oh, what am I?
Cut to Fester's bedroom. Fester is in his robe. He's considering various pieces of clothing. Abigail stands nearby, her arms folded.
What would look best? A tuxedo?
A nice dark suit is perfectly acceptable.
Oh, but the whole family's coming. I want to look terrific.
Gordon, may I remind you, you're not really an Addams.
I know. But the party's for me.
Fester holds an outfit up in front of the mirror.
I love this.
Cut to exterior of the Addams mansion. The front door opens, and Lurch appears. He has obviously been summoned. He looks out, his face lights up as he sees a new arrival. Cousin It drives up in his bubble-topped It-mobile. He parks the car and flips open the top. Cousin It is a hairball in a Homburg hat, who gleeps and squeaks in a language the Addams have no trouble understanding. He pauses for a moment to survey the house. Returning to the ballroom a little later, Lurch escorts Cousin It into the ballroom. Gomez and Morticia come over to greet him.
It! Old man!
You're right, far too long.
Cousin It looks around, obviously checking out the women. He sees Margaret on the dance floor with Tully. It runs a hand through his hair, slicking it back, then excuses himself. Margaret clings stiffly to Tully in the midst of all this Addams weirdness.
The first time we've been dancing in ages and you bring me here?
It's a formal occasion.
Don't let me out of your sight.
Don't threaten me.
There's a tap on Margaret's shoulder. She turns. Before her is Cousin It, hat in hand, eager to cut in. He takes her in his arms and spins her away. Back in Fester's bathroom, the pipes groan loudly as scalding water floods the sink. Abigail shaves the back of Fester's head with a straight razor. The room is filled with steam.
You'll make your appearance, then slip away from the party.
How? I'm the guest of honor.
Back in the ballroom, Wednesday is dancing with Lumpy Addams, the teenage hunchback. Morticia approaches them.
Wednesday?
Yes, Mother.
Could you run upstairs and check on your uncle? Thank you, dears. Why, Lumpy Addams, look at you, all grown up.
Fester's room, a few minutes later, the door opens, and Wednesday peeks inside.
Uncle Fester?
She hears the water running in Fester's bathroom, the sound of voices beneath it. Inside the bathroom, Fester turns off the water.
Yes, Mother, I understand. I hear you.
I hope so, Gordon. I'm counting on you. Don't buckle.
It's not going to be easy. There's people everywhere.
You can do it if you just stop whining. No one likes it. It's unattractive.
All right, fine. I'll try and reach the vault tonight, but if I can't, well, that's it, okay, Mother?
Wednesday stands frozen in the doorway.
You are a fake. I knew it.
Abigail and Fester wheel around her. The straight razor catches the light and glints menacingly.
Come here, little one. We won't hurt you.
Fester can't believe this is happening. He is genuinely torn, and it shows.
Wednesday!
Abigail's face disintegrates, and she bellows.
Get her!
Abigail pushes him towards Wednesday, who's suddenly scared, takes off running. She runs into her own room and slams the door behind her. Galvanized into action by the hold his mother still has on him, Fester kicks the door open, just in time to see Wednesday throw open a trap door in the floor and disappear down it. She pulls the door closed behind her. Fester tries to find it, but the door is seamless. He pounds the floor in frustration. Outside the house, there are two smaller coal chutes, one marked Pugsley and one marked Wednesday. Wednesday slides out of her chute. She takes off toward the cemetery, running into the darkness of the night. Back in the ballroom, Lurch escorts Flora and Fauna Amor, the twins from the home movies, into the ballroom. He takes their wraps, revealing that they are, in fact, a pair of conjoined twins. 25 years later, and they still look quite beautiful and quite mad.
Flora and Fauna Amor!
Gomez approaches, shielding his eyes.
I cannot see! I am blinded by beauty.
Gomez, Adam! You terrible flirt! Please, Copycat! Tag along.
Morticia appears.
Why, Gomez, the Amor twins. I've heard so much about you.
Morticia, I hate you. You nabbed him, this darling man. He was mine! He was mine.
Flora, Fauna, how can I compete? You're twice the woman I am.
Gomez grabs Tully, who is striding by in search of Margaret.
Tully, the Amor twins. They're waiting for Fester. Amuse them.
Hello, Tully. I saw him first. Ignore her. She's nothing.
Bon chance.
The girls now have their forearms all over the dance floor.
Oh my god.
Cut to Fester's bedroom. Abigail is in the room alone. At that moment, Fester comes climbing back through the open window.
Couldn't find her anywhere. Let's just leave out the back.
Pull yourself together. She'll turn up, the little cockroach. Now get to the party or they'll suspect something. I'll be down soon. Yeah?
Cut to the kitchen. Morticia watches as Granny garnishes a roast pig set on a silver tray. It is beautifully glazed, deliciously plump, and has an apple in its mouth.
Mama, you've outdone yourself.
Granny turns the pig slightly to arrange the garnish and reveals its second head. This one, too, has an apple in its mouth.
Hey, it's a party!
Satisfied, she covers it with a lid. Lurch then lifts the tray onto a serving cart, then rolls the cart out. Back in the ballroom, Flora and Fauna, now on the dance floor with Tully, chatter giddily as he tries to maneuver them through a box step.
You can't imagine how surprised we were
were when Gomez called and he told us Fester was back.
Especially considering.
Vana.
Especially considering what?
It makes no difference now. It's obvious that Fester and Gomez are devoted.
Why wouldn't they be devoted?
Well, now that Fester's back, he's the king of the castle again, isn't he?
Fester's the older brother, so he gets it all. The house, the money, you name it.
I'd like to.
Gomez be damned.
Fester's still single, isn't he?
Are you Mr. Alfred?
Why, Fauna.
I'm Fauna!
I'm Flora!
I'm flattered. Excuse me, ladies.
Tully winks at Flora and blows a kiss to Fauna. They giggle madly. Tully hurries off, grinning like the cat who swallowed the canary. Morticia and Fester have just appeared at the door to the bedroom.
Everyone, your attention, please.
The music stops, and the guests fall silent.
When he was lost, our family grieves, and how it became them. Oh my. Now he was found, and the celebration begins. Our treasured guest of honor, Fester Addams.
She takes him by the hand as if to lead him toward the assembled guests, but instead abruptly spins him by the arm, sending him whirling like a top into the center of the dance floor, where he suddenly stops nose to nose with Gomez. Gomez is dressed now like a Hollywood Cossack. He carries 5 gleaming scimitars. Morticia, Granny, and all the Addams women tap out a stirring martial beat on the tambourines.
Jamushka!
The assembled guests begin circling the brothers. Gomez begins juggling the swords. Baffled, Fester stands in the center, the eye of this dizzying hurricane. Oh boy.
I'm not going to be juggling.
Yep. Theater of mind.
Taught to us by our Cossack cousins, the Momushka has been in the Addams family tradition since God knows when.
Gomez hurls the scimitars to Fester. They begin juggling them back and forth, much to Fester's shock and surprise.
We danced the Mamushka while Nero fiddled. We danced the Mamushka at the Waterloo. We danced the Mamushka for Jack the Ripper. And now, Fester, Addams, this Mamushka's for you!
The juggling dance becomes more intricate. Fester, petrified, manages to somehow bungle his way through. Gomez and the assembled guests launch into a tongue-twisting patter song. During an instrumental passage of the song, Gomez admires his brother.
Through all this time, Fester hasn't forgotten a step, hasn't forgotten a word.
Fester stops dead.
Not a step, not a word.
Fester looks up to see all 5 scimitars dropping fast on him. Panicking, he catches 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 in each hand, his hands full. He screams as the 5th scimitar descends on his head. It drops in his mouth, swallowed to the hilt. The Addams mob cheers lustily, amazed. Fester pulls his scimitar from his mouth.
How did I do that?
Gomez slaps him on the back. Fester bursts. The crowd finishes the song, closing in on Fester. In a remote corner of the ballroom, Cousin It and Margaret are waltzing. They are somewhat involved.
We've been married for almost 20 years. Sometimes it seems like more. Of course, people grow, people change.
Cut to the front hall a little later. Tully is heading for the front door in his coat. Abigail stops him.
Where are you going? There's trouble.
Hey, not to worry. Plan B.
But that hideous little girl.
I'm in charge. 10 minutes. I'll be back.
Tully slips out the door. Abigail turns frustrated, throwing up her hands. Upstairs on the dance floor, a reprise of the Mamushka has begun. In the rear of the hall, Cousin It passes across, leading a trembling Margaret. Cut to Judge Womack's house. A short while later, Judge Womack is on the front porch with Tully. He's apoplectic. The raucous sounds of the Mamushka reverberate from the Addams mansion.
What the hell's going on over there? How would you like to be rid of the Addamses for good? I'm serious. What can I do for you?
Cut to the exterior of the Addams mansion, 2:00 a.m. Gomez and Morticia stand on the front steps, waving goodbye to their departing guests. Cousin It leans out the window of his It-mobile, sharing a romantic last moment with Margaret.
You're a marvelous dancer. It's been such fun. I can't. We mustn't. Call me.
The car drives off as Margaret waves a fond farewell. Morticia puts her arm around Margaret.
Oh, Margaret, he's very special, isn't he? He's perfect. He's it.
Flora and Fauna give goodbye kisses to Fester, covering him with lipstick. They hang on him with all four arms. He is enjoying himself.
Nope, it's okay. You'll come see me before you leave, won't you, Fester? I'll call once I'm alone.
An ambulance pulls up. White-jacketed attendants step out with a straitjacket built for two.
There's your ride. Goodbye, girls.
Cut to upstairs hallway a bit later. Fester skips down the hall, still practicing bits of the mamushka. He opens the door and strides into his bedroom. He grabs Abigail and starts dancing with her, swinging her around.
What are you doing? Gordon!
Fester
Gordon,
keeps singing and dancing.
Stop it this instant!
Fester lets go.
Gordon, is that lipstick all over your face?
From the twins. The beauteous Amore twins.
The twins? Gordon, I don't understand this. Let me get this clear. Have you been having a good time?
Yes, I have. It was marvelous. I sang up a storm and danced till I dropped the mamushka.
He begins to dance again. Abigail, breathing fire, sits on the bed, turning away from him.
Mother?
Mother? Who is that? I don't think I recall.
Mother.
I'm perfectly fine. I'm dandy. Don't concern yourself with me, Gordon. Please, return to your depraved orgy. Sometimes I think you're not even my son.
Don't say that.
I'm just your mother. You only owe me your entire existence on this planet. Please, Gordon, by all means, go sing, dance, date.
Mother, I'm so terribly sorry. It was just a party. It's over. It means nothing. Those Siamese twins, that hunchback, cousin It, they're not you.
Say it, Gordon. Make me believe it.
I love you. And I want money.
We've got to find Tully.
Cut to the ballroom, same time, where Morticia is looking for her children. She discovers Pugsley asleep on a silver platter. She finds this enchanting. Gomez enters. Morticia shushes him and points to the platter.
Look at our little boy.
All tuckered out.
So sweet. He looks like a little entree.
Pugsley wakes up. He looks around.
Where's the party?
Oh, it's over, darling. Have you seen your sister?
Not since before the mamushka.
Gomez?
Don't fret. We'll find her.
To the yard outside, a short time later. Gomez rallies the family for the search. Lurch distributes torches while Pugsley helps Gomez unroll an ancient map of the area.
Fan out! Pugsley, head for the dung heap. Mama and Morticia, the shallow graves. I'll take the abyss, and Lurch, check the bottomless pit.
Her favorite.
Fester!
Up here!
They look up at Fester, looking down at them from Wednesday's window.
Fester, you'll take the ravine and the unmarked abandoned well.
Somebody should stay behind, in case she comes back.
Good man. Good thinking.
Then who'll take the swamp?
Thing tugs at the cuff of Gomez's pants. Gomez nods.
That's the spirit thing. Lend a hand. Let's go.
They all sweep off with Gomez in the lead. Cut to Wednesday's room a short while later. Fester is still at the window. Abigail joins him. They watch the family wandering the grounds in search of Wednesday, tiny lights aloft.
Where the hell is Tully?
They descend to the den where they find Tully sitting in an armchair, basking in the rays of sunshine that beam from a copy of The Sun Also Rises. Tully smiles at them.
What are you doing?
Relaxing, taking in a little sun.
Have you gone mad?
Au contraire.
Tully closes the book and smugly unfurls a legal document. Outside, the family continues their search. Thing hops across the lily pads. Pugsley searches through the primeval forest. Lurch picks up a car. Morticia and Granny stand in the underground grotto, torches flickering scary shadows on the cave walls.
Wednesday! Wednesday! Oh, Mama, I was sure we'd find her here.
Gomez enters into a stately mausoleum at the far end of the cemetery. Inside it is catacomb-like, filled with bleached bones of the Addams dead. He finds Wednesday curled asleep on a stone sarcophagus. Relieved to find her, Gomez lifts her tenderly in his arms. Cut to the front gate, darkness before the dawn. Gate can't open. He rattles miserably on his hinges. Locked tight with heavy chains and yellow police tape. The family stands outside, locked out.
What's all this?
Tully hurries down the walkway, waving his legal documents.
This is a restraining order, Gomez.
A restraining order?
It requires you to keep a distance of 1,000 yards from this house. You've got about 999 yards to go. Catch my drift?
I am restrained. From my own house?
Not your house, mustache. Not anymore. It belongs to the eldest living descendant, the older of the brothers, Fester Addams.
But this is lunacy.
Fester adores Gomez.
He's afraid of him. Seeing the twins brought it all back. You're bitter rivals, Gomez. Always were, always will be.
It's not so. Those girls meant nothing. He knows that. I demand to see Fester.
Sorry, no can do. He's very hurt. It's not a good time. Leave it alone, or better yet, just leave.
Wednesday comes forward, rubbing the sleep from her eyes.
But he isn't even Uncle Fester.
Gomez and Morticia turn to look at her.
Do not fear. Justice will prevail. The courts will decide. They say a man who represents himself is a fool for a client. Well, with God as my witness, I am that fool.
Cut to a courtroom day. We see Judge Womack is the presiding judge. He hammers the gavel and reads his decision.
Given applicable standards of proof, the attempts to impugn this man's character or question his identity have been woefully inadequate. It is with no small amount of personal satisfaction that I declare Fester Addams legal executor of the Addams estate and rightful owner of all properties and possessions contained herein. Gomez Addams.
He holds up a golf ball.
I believe this is yours.
Cut to the Addams mansion day. The family members trek to the car, each with a few favored possessions. Gomez already sits in the passenger seat of the Duesenberg, his coat draped over his shoulders as if he were an invalid, his head thrown back. Fester observes from a second-story window as the car drives off. Cut to a motel court later. A two-story neon arrow points the way to this bungalow court, bright and awful ersatz western. Log cabins of simulated wood surround the teepee-shaped office. This is the Addams' new home. Inside their bungalow, with an ice pick and a hammer, Morticia deftly makes a large, spidery crack in the bathroom table mirror. Sighing deeply, she stands back to admire her handiwork. Granny joins her.
I like it.
Her mother pats her consolingly.
Just as long as we're together. N'est pas ma chère?
As she turns to Gomez, we see the interior of the bungalow. All ersatz cowboy and Indian mixed with chrome-plated plastic and orange shag carpet. Gomez sits slumped in a chair. He's a broken man. He looks at her as if he's never heard French.
Huh?
Wednesday tends to him. She and her mother exchange a worried look. Pugsley comes from the bathroom, nibbling a wrapped bar of motel soap.
This place isn't so bad. We even have candy in the bathroom.
That's soap, dear.
Oh.
He takes another greedy bite. Wednesday pats her father's arm.
Do you want a cigar, Father?
They're very bad for you.
Father?
Wednesday exchanges a panic-stricken look with Morticia. The family moves closer to Gomez.
But maybe I'll have one of those.
He takes a bar of soap from Pugsley. Gomez unwraps it and morosely eats. Cut to the Addams mansion midway to the vault. Fester, Abigail, and Tully reach up to pull 3 of the countless chains. Cut to the coal chute on the side of the house, midnight, which drops open, dumping them out, all of them wet, bedraggled, and gasping for air.
You're doing this on purpose!
They all struggle to their feet and march grimly back toward the door. Cut to the motel bungalow. The next morning, Gomez is stretched out on a bare bed. Thing massages his aching head. A bowl of motel soaps is beside him. In contrast, Morticia squarely faces the crisis. She addresses the family from the head of the breakfast table. The want ads open on the table before her.
We are Addamses, and we will not submit. Who recalls the fable of the tortoise and the hare? The swift yet lazy little cottontail and his slow but determined companion? What does that story teach us as Addamses?
Kill the hare, skin it, boil it.
Put the tortoise on the highway.
During rush hour.
Yes, we will survive. Poison us, strangle us, break our bones, and we will come back for more. And why?
Because we like it.
Because we're Addamses.
Gomez tries to rouse himself.
We're Addamses.
He burps, soap bubbles floating from his mouth. Cut to sidewalk in front of the motel, day. Wednesday and Pugsley have set up a lemonade stand, their contribution to the Addamses' financial well-being. An array of poisons are lined up on their rickety table. The pitcher on the table before them steams. Cars speed by, carrying cleaning supplies. Lurch comes out of the motel courtyard. Pugsley offers him a cup of punch.
Here, Lurch, on the house.
Lurch gulps it, downs it in a gulp, and heads off. Feeling the effects of the lemonade, Lurch burps. A tongue of flame shoots out from his mouth. Cut to inside an employment agency. Morticia is being interviewed by a personnel officer, a relentlessly perky gal with a clipboard.
We have so many homemakers re-entering the workforce. Your domestic skills can be very valuable. College?
Private tutors.
Major?
Spells and hexes.
Liberal arts. Have you been a volunteer, PTA, service organization?
Well, one day each week I visit death row at our local prison with my children.
With your children?
Autographs.
Well, what about your husband? Is he currently employed?
He's going through a bad patch at the moment, but it's not his fault.
Of course not. What is he? A loafer? A hopeless layabout? A shiftless dreamer?
Not anymore.
The personnel officer shoots Morticia a doubtful glance and begins rifling through her card file. Cut to the Addams living room, day. Abigail and Fester are seated at opposite ends of the couch. Fester stares off into space. Abigail is going through a stack of colorful travel brochures.
The Mediterranean, the Riviera. Once we find the money, we'll go everywhere. We'll try again right after lunch, Gordon. Where should we go first?
I don't know.
Acapulco, Cancun? Arriba, arriba!
You choose.
Cut to outside the motel later that day. Wednesday and Pugsley are at their lemonade stand. They are negotiating with a prissy little girl in a uniform. The Girl Scout carries several boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
It's just made from real lemons.
Yes.
I only like all natural foods and beverages, organically grown with no preservatives. Are you sure they're real lemons?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what, I'll buy a cup if you buy a box of my delicious Girl Scout cookies. Do we have a deal?
Are they made from real Girl Scouts?
To a daycare center during day. Morticia is telling a story to a group of toddlers who have gathered in a circle around her, sitting on carpet squares. The room is sunny and cheerful, with crayon drawings taped to the walls.
And so the witch lured Hansel and Gretel into the candy house by promising them more sweets. And she told them to look in the oven, and she was about to push them in when, lo and behold, Hansel pushed the poor, defenseless witch into the oven instead, where she was burned alive, writhing in agony. Now, boys and girls, what do you think that feels like?
After a beat, all the toddlers begin to cry and wail. Cut to outside the motel bungalow, day. Granny holds a club behind her back as she stalks something. Inside the motel bungalow at the same time, eating compulsively from a box of Malamars, Gomez stares vacantly at a game show on TV. Jeopardy is on. Alex Trebek reads,
Monsters of History for 200. He was known as the Butcher of Bavaria.
Grandfather Addams! Damn! Not in the form of a question.
Cut to Addams Mansion dining room day. Abigail and Gordon are seated on opposite ends of the table having lunch. It is very quiet.
After lunch, we'll try again.
Yes, Mother.
We'll find the money, and meanwhile, we have this little nest. Quiet and cozy without that dreadful family.
Yes, Mother.
Just the two of us, away from the world. Our dream come true.
Yes, Mother.
Abigail mimics Fester's drone response silently. Cut to the bungalow an hour later. Morticia tries to comfort Gomez. Pugsley, Wednesday, and Lurch are seated nearby, very worried about Gomez. As at a death watch. Gomez is now surrounded by junk food, and a mountain of junk food wrappers, bags, and styrofoam containers. Gomez uses the remote to switch channels. An episode of a sitcom comes on.
Rerun.
He switches off the set and stares at the blank screen.
I don't understand. All he does is watch TV and eat.
I know. Gomez, let's go for a drive. The whole family.
A drive? And Miss Maddock?
Granny opens the door and sticks her head in.
Dinner's gonna be late.
She slams the door. We hear her whistling. Later that night, Morticia is putting Wednesday to bed.
That man isn't Uncle Fester. And who is he, Mother?
I don't know, darling. I wish I did.
Why is that lady doing all this?
It's hard to say. Sometimes people have had terrible childhoods. And sometimes they just haven't found their special place in life. And sometimes they're dogs from hell and must be destroyed.
Morticia kisses Wednesday and she closes her eyes to go to sleep. Cut to the bungalow, the middle of the night. The family sleeps, all but Morticia. She sits up in bed beside Gomez. She looks around at her family asleep around her. Morticia stares down at Gomez for a long beat. She strokes his hair lovingly. Full of resolve, she gets out of bed. Cut to Fester's bedroom, night. Fester is lying in bed, the covers around his chin. Abigail sits on the bed beside him, tucking him in.
I know why you've been so glum. It's because it's taking us a little longer than we'd hoped to find the gold. Isn't that right?
Fester turns away, depressed.
Of course it is. Well, don't worry. We're right on the verge. Tomorrow for certain, my darling. You know, some people might think it's strange for a mother and son to be so close. I think it's beautiful, don't you, Gordon?
Fester mumbles something under his breath.
What?
Yes, Mother. It's beautiful.
Look at... I'm weeping.
Abigail exits. The minute the door shuts, Fester gets out of bed. He is fully clothed. He goes to the window and begins to climb out. Cut to the bungalow later. Morticia, fully dressed, wearing her cloak, heads off down the walk. Unseen by her, Thing trails after. Cut to outside the mansion, the Addams Mansion later. Morticia, just outside gate, struggles to get it open. Thing, clutching the bars, also attempting to block her way.
Stop it, you two.
Morticia breaks free of Thing. She ascends the front steps. Tully opens the front door. He smiles maliciously at the sight of Morticia on the stoop.
I would like to speak with Fester.
Tully steps aside.
We've been expecting you.
Morticia crosses the threshold. Cut to intersection at the foot of the Addams Hill. Thing tries to no avail to flag down a passing car. In a kamikaze leap, he grabs a hold of the next passing car and holds on for dear life. Cut to the Addams study a little later. Morticia is now stretched out on the torture rack. Fester and Tully are securing her hands and feet under Abigail's supervision. Fester seems torn, agitated, upset.
You are a desperate woman, consumed by greed and infinite bitterness.
We could have been such friends. I don't know where I am.
I don't think so. The vault, Mrs. Addams. Any thoughts?
Despite everything, I don't hate you. I pity you. Persecution, fiendish torture, inhumane depravity. Sometimes it's just not enough.
Gordon, let's get started.
But Mother...
Stop stalling.
I'm not stalling. Stop badgering me.
Tully, take over. Tighten it.
I'd love to. You know that, but I've got the stomach thing. When I torture people, it's just me.
Do it.
Where's your bathroom?
Now.
Tully shuts his eyes and tightens the rack. Morticia's bones make a horrible popping, stretching sound. She moans rather sensually.
Oh, again.
Tully tightens the rack again. More popping noises. Morticia moans even greater this time.
Tighter.
Tully tightens the rack a third time. Bone-popping noises. Morticia moans voluptuously. She opens her eyes. She sighs in afterglow. She glances at Tully.
You've done this before.
Cut to the bungalow at night. Thing arrives and leaps dramatically onto the porch, then stops dead to knock on the cabin door. After a beat.
Who is it? We've paid through Thursday.
He opens the door. Thing rushes in. Thing skitters on the kitchen counter, frantically signing in sign language. In the background, the rest of the family sleeps.
Slow down, Thing. It's terrible when you stutter.
Frustrated, Thing grabs a spoon and begins tapping out Morse code.
Morticia in danger. Stop. Send help at once. Stop.
Thing drops down in exhausted triumph. Gomez grabs him and heads off. Back in the mansion, Morticia is now lashed to an enormous torture wheel. Tully and Abigail are tending the branding iron stuck in the roaring fire.
You can't! Not with the red-hot pokers.
Is this gonna smell?
Tully Alford, charlatan, deadbeat, parasite. How Gomez adored you.
Well, not enough.
Morticia, please.
Dear Fester, or whomever you are, which is the real you? The loathsome, underhanded monster you've become, or the loathsome, underhanded monster we came to love?
Don't ask me.
Fester, I saw you tonight at my window. I know it was you.
Gordon!
I was restless. I couldn't sleep.
Gordon, I have a thought. Just a notion, top of my head. Tell me what you think. Since you and Mrs. Addams are so close...
Abigail takes a red-hot poker out of the fire and hands it to Fester.
Be my guest.
Outside, Gomez glides Dusendorf silently through gate, who opens uncharacteristically without a creak. Gomez stops the car and skulks out. Thing skulks after him. Gomez sees the reflections of the roaring fire through the study window. Back in the study, as Fester takes the poker and approaches Morticia, Gomez crashes through the window in a backflip. Thing judo flips in after Gomez.
Cara mia!
Mon cher!
Addams!
Thing tosses Gomez a saber off the study wall. Tully also grabs the saber and approaches Gomez from behind.
Darling, take care!
Without even looking, Gomez parries Tully's blow from behind. Then he whirls on Tully.
Dirty fool, old man! Never again.
This is for keeps, Gomez, not just doubloons!
Tully feints, then slashes, shredding the front of Gomez's jacket.
One for you, Tully, and...
Gomez attacks to strike like lightning. In a blur of action, Tully's sword is knocked from his hand, and he's sent tumbling backwards.
One for me!
Tully looks up at Gomez with cowardly, pleading eyes.
Gomez, it's Tully. I'm your lawyer. I'm on retainer.
Let him up!
Gomez turns to see Abigail, who now has a pistol aimed at Morticia. One shot, and Morticia will die horribly. Gomez throws aside his sword. Tully scrambles to his feet.
That's right. Now get moving, Addams. Take him to the vault. And if you're not back in an hour, I'll displace her.
Gomez is near enough now to take Morticia's hand on the torture wheel.
Tish, seeing you like this, My blood boils.
As does mine.
This wheel of pain.
Our wheel.
Fester is confused watching this emotional display.
To live without you. Only that would be torture.
A day alone, only that would be death.
Gomez kisses Morticia's hand.
Knock it off! The vault, Addams, right now!
But Mother, can't we just...
Gomez reaches for the book that will open the secret panel.
Can it, Gordon? Stop dragging your feet, you disgust me. You're nothing but a useless, sniveling baby. A stone around my neck. What was I thinking? I should have left you where I found you!
At Abigail's final words, Fester suddenly leaps forward.
No tricks, Gomez! That's the wrong book.
Gomez's hand is on the right book, Read. But Fester stops him from pulling it.
Allow me.
Gomez looks into Fester's eyes, realizing what he's about to do.
Good show, old man.
Fester reaches for a different book. Hurricane Irene, Nightmare from Above. Seeing the title of the book, Tully suddenly panics.
Put that book down, Gordon. You don't know what it can do. It's not just literature.
Oh, really?
I'm your friend, Gordon. Think of the doubloons.
They're not yours, Tully. Back off!
Gomez quickly releases Morticia from the torture wheel.
Quickly, my darling.
He helps her down from the wheel.
The leather straps, red-hot pokers.
Later, my dearest.
Fester faces off with Abigail as Tully cowers.
Keep the book closed, Gordon. Listen to Mother.
I'll never listen to you. Not ever again.
I had to be strict with you because I cared. Put it down.
You never really loved me.
Gomez and Morticia approach the bookcase.
Come, my love, to safety.
But what a Fester.
Old man, this way.
Stop whining, you little good-for-nothing. Be a man.
You're a terrible mother. There, I said it.
Fester opens the book and blasts Tully out the window. Then he blasts Abigail out as well. Gomez escorts Morticia into the secret passage. He tries to hold the bookshelf open for Fester to follow, fighting the gale force winds.
Old man, this way!
He fights the raging storm across the room, struggling across the floor toward the bookshelf. Gomez can no longer fight the storm, and the bookshelf slams shut. Fester desperately tries to close the book to quell the hurricane. A huge bolt of lightning zaps him. He falls to the floor as electricity courses through him. The storm continues to rage. Fade to blackouts. Fade in on exterior of the Addams Mansion next October at night. A group of little children dressed in traditional Halloween costumes approach the front door. There is a hand-lettered sign on the door reading, "Halloween Open House." The kids giggle and chatter. One child knocks. As the door opens, somebody... They freeze in mid-chant. After a beat, they scream in horror and run, terrified, back toward the street. Angle around to Lurch, who closes the front door, looking puzzled. The whole family, including Fester, is busily decorating the house for their annual Halloween festivities. All the decorations are elegant yet ancient, dusty and faded. A banner on the wall reads "Happy Halloween," and the letters drip with blood. Granny appears from the kitchen carrying a tray of food.
Well, it's their loss. I even made finger sandwiches.
Perched on Fester's shoulder, Thing shakes in fear.
Oh, calm down.
Here we come.
Wednesday and Pugsley come down the stairs. Wednesday is dressed in her usual style, but Pugsley is dressed as a tiny version of Uncle Fester, complete with bald head and greatcoat. The adults are delighted. Gomez claps Pugsley on the arm.
Pugsley, old man.
Look at you.
How do you like it?
Fester is very touched. He picks Pugsley up.
What can I say? He's going to break hearts.
Let's get a picture. Lurch?
Oh, yes, in the den.
Just then, there is a knock on the door. Everybody turns. Lurch opens the door. Sitting outside are Margaret and Cousin It. Margaret is dressed as a fairy princess, complete with wand. Cousin It wears a cowboy hat, a bandana, and a holster. Margaret is radiant, obviously very much in love.
Trick or treat!
Look, everyone! We have guests.
Hello, Margaret. Cousin It. I almost didn't recognize you.
Isn't he handsome? Everyone keeps asking where he bought his costume.
It is a wonderful hat.
And what are you, Dolly? What's your costume?
This is my costume. I'm a homicidal maniac. They look just like everyone else.
Cut to the dining room a few minutes later. Fester and Pugsley are posed at one end of the room. Lurch has set up an easel and canvas. He is painting their portrait. Gomez and Wednesday are sitting on the floor amid newspapers, carving a pumpkin. Morticia is knitting. Margaret and Cousin It sit together, holding hands. Granny brings people cups of steaming punch from a punch bowl.
Halloween. It's such a special time. Ghosts and goblins, witches on broomsticks.
Children begging in the streets.
I'm so glad I can share this night with my family. My real family. Now that I've got my memory back.
That unfortunate woman filled with evil.
She wasn't your mother. She just said that.
You remember, old sport. She really did find him tangled in a tuna net 25 years ago with amnesia.
From the Bermuda Triangle.
How true. Stranger things have happened.
I'm sorry, and I'm not bitter, but I blame Tully.
Yes!
Oh, stop. I'm blushing.
Thank God for lightning! Knock some sense into you!
Please, Uncle Fester,
Pugsley.
for the picture.
Fester pops a light bulb in his mouth. It lights. Pugsley giggles. Gomez stands up, having finished the pumpkin. He places it on a table and lights the candle inside.
You know, all the old sayings are true. There's no place like home. And blood is thicker than water.
And just as refreshing.
All right, everyone. Time for a game. What shall it be? Bobbing for apples?
Charades.
Of course. Wake the dead.
Wake the dead!
Wake the dead! Up to the cemetery! Come on, everyone!
Everyone starts to exit, chattering happily.
I've never played this before. How does it go?
Did you bring a shovel?
Uncle Fester, will you be on my team?
No, mine.
I'll tell you what, we'll give you a head start. 3 skulls and 1 pelvis. How's that?
Wednesday cheer and run out. Fester faces Gomez.
My own dear brother. Who could be more precious?
Blood is thicker than water, old man.
And just as refreshing.
Gomez offers his hand. Fester takes it in a manly handshake.
Let us never be parted.
Let us always be as one.
Fester flips Gomez in a judo flip. Gomez lands at the foot of a glass display case. The camera pans up the case. It contains Abigail and Tully, expertly mounted and stuffed. Gomez rises, dusting himself off.
Come on.
We'll catch up.
Fester runs out. Morticia and Gomez have drifted into the front hall. They're moving toward the front door.
Our family. What are they?
Oh, Tish. What a night. Everyone together at last. What more could we ask?
Gomez.
Morticia holds up the garment she's been knitting. It's a baby onesie with 3 legs.
Cara mia! Is it true?
Oui, mon cher.
They embrace as the front door swings open of its own accord. Cut to the exterior of the Addams mansion. Morticia and Gomez are silhouetted in the doorway. There is a full moon. In the distance, a wolf howls. Wispy ghosts flit through the night sky. A human scream is heard, followed by Granny's cackle. In the cemetery, torches are seen like fireflies. Fade out. The end. All right, thank you so much for joining us. It is late here. We need to clean up. So, yeah, goodbye. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye, goodbye, goodbye, bye, 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 bye.